Everybody, Jim here with none other than Katheryn Winnick, star of Vikings, plays Lagertha. Thank you for swinging by today to talk about season 3. And I just want to start off by saying that the relationship that is developing between Lagertha and King Egbert is pretty interesting. What can you kind of tell us about the nature of that relationship?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, Linus Roach plays King Egbert, and Lagertha is now a free woman. You know, I say I because she's so close to me. She can do whatever she wants and with whoever she wants. And in season 3, she now is unattached. So she doesn't necessarily need a man. She can choose one. And with King Egbert, I think there's definitely curiosity. He's a man of power. He's a man of discipline, but also fierceness. And I think that there's something in her that is intrigued by that. He also introduces her to a whole new world of being in Wessex and starting a settlement in Wessex, not only like a new culture, but a new language, new mythology, new religion, new tools that they would use to farm. And this is something that she's definitely intrigued, and you're going to have to see what happens in that relationship.
Now, of course, a lot of fans would kind of want some sort of way for her and Ragnar to end up back together. I don't think that's going to ever happen.
Are you trying to get spoilers out of me?
Oh, I'm just curious, a little curious.
You know, I'm not going to answer that other than saying that there's definitely, well, Lagertha and Ragnar have something truly unique, and that they have known each other for many, many years, and will always like Ragnar in Lagertha's mind will always be there. And if they get together, I can't say that without giving away too many spoilers, but I know the whole audience wants us together. A lot of the fans want us together. But Lagertha now is her own woman, and she in the season 1 she was his wife, and in season 2 she married someone else, and it was an abusive husband, and had to stab him in the eye just to make that work. and now in season 3 she's extremely self-sufficient.
Do you think part of her sort of bond with Egbert is maybe over the fact that he does treat her like an equal, treats her like a queen, and certainly coming off of that last relationship, that's a nice change of pace, you know?
It is. It's interesting for me to play because you haven't seen Lagertha in this light, where she's still trying to discover herself and what her purpose is, and it's nice to get the attention. What women wouldn't want that? But she also knows King Egbert, and she also understands what he's capable of. Yeah. And I'm not sure if she fully trusts him.
Well, he is a slithery kind of cat, you know. So I was going to ask you, like, is she playing him? Is he being played, or like is he playing her?
You're going to have to wait and see.
It's going to get gonna get drama.
But Lagertha, she definitely thinks ahead, and she's always she understands what cards are dealt with, and she understands people's motivations and intentions. So even though she is spending some time with King Egbert, she also understands how dangerous of a man he can be.
But he gives her a plow and a necklace. That's a way to a woman's heart, right there. Right? I'm just saying.
That's true.
Now she's got a little stuff going on back home that she might not necessarily be aware of. Can you tell us about this new character and sort of the schemes that are going on back in Lagertha's own turf?
Yes, well, in season 3, she goes to Wessex to start a settlement there. That was always her and Ragnar's dream, and when they were growing up, is to start settlements in different countries. And so she leaves her territory to her second in command, which is a new character we introduced in season 3. The character's name is Kalf, and Ben Robson plays him. And that's an interesting relationship and dynamic because she helped really groom him to his position, and she really does trust him. She helped raise him in a sense They have a very strong family upbringing where she knew his mother for many years. And she leaves him her territory and trusts that it's going to be taken care of. What I will tell you is that Michael Hirst never keeps you comfortable, and you just when you're in a position of, okay, I got this, you get thrown a curveball. And Lagertha has a whole new set of challenges that she has to deal with in season 3.
Basically, never trust a Viking man. I think that's the moral of Vikings is
Viking man, never trust any guy in the series.
Now, I was curious about what Lagertha thinks of Bjorn now as a young man, and he's got a possible shield maiden of his own there on the horizon.
Yes.
What does she think about her son's choice of mate, if you will? And let's say things get further along. Is she ready to be a grandmother at such a young age? Are you ready to play an ass-kicking 30-something grandma?
It was when I first got hired on this, I remember that they struggled that I would have a 14-year-old, and then Michael Hirst knew that he was going to age the story, so then he would be a grown-up man. So that was already a challenge. Bjorn, of course, is now a man in season 3. He's come into his own. He has his own coming-of-age storyline, and his choice of women, I think Lagertha completely approves of. Yeah. It's Thorin. It's actually pronounced Thorin. It's Porin, but and Gaia West plays her, and she's awesome. I actually love her as a human being in person. She actually started teaching or learning martial arts for the role. She's not as skilled as Lagertha in terms of being a shield maiden, but she's definitely has that will to do it. And I don't know, like it's interesting because in Vikings they lived such a short time period where in life you could have children at 13 years old and you could be a grandmother at 30 something years old, so it's very possible. And I don't know how much I can give away. Is this just right at the beginning of the season, or you're about to?
I've only seen the first 3 episodes, and we can run this whenever. But I'll leave it at that. Now, here's something that shouldn't really have come as a surprise to me because it is on the History Channel, but I didn't realize until recently that this is actually based on actual Viking legends and some people who actually existed. I knew King Egbert existed, but the fact that there really was a Lagertha.
There was a Lagertha.
That how true to history will the show kind of stay? I guess what I'm asking is, will we ever see characters do something, end up somewhere, or exit the timeline, if you will, before they actually did in history? Like, do you guys feel really beholden to that?
Oh, it's a great question. Well, it's a 2-part question. Well, yes, it is based on historical facts. Like Lagertha was a famous shield maiden that was married to the most famous Viking at that time period, which is Ragnar Lothbrok. And it's funny, they actually did a documentary just recently, I read it in the news just a couple of weeks ago, that they dug up old grave sites, and to prove that shield maidens existed, they found women's remains buried with their sword and shield and armor, and they believed if they are buried with their treasures, they'll go up to Valhalla. So there is now actual proof for that, which is really interesting. But in terms of it being historically accurate, it is a TV show. So Michael Hirst, who's the writer, has the freedom to create anything he wants. And as an actor, you have that freedom to choose your choices and act a certain way. So when I first signed on to the show, I remember looking up Lagertha on Google, and it was a tough search. I could barely find anything. I found like maybe a couple poems or sagas of Lagertha, but now you go on it. There's a Wikipedia page, there's just different sites, and so you have. It's not like I feel necessarily a responsibility to play a real character, but it's interesting to know like what is true in terms of about her sagas is that she did kill her second husband, and she stabbed him in the eye with a dagger that was hidden in her in her dress, and she was a famous shield maiden. And to have that freedom and how women were portrayed in that society was interesting to play. But it also gives me creative freedom to make choices and make her how I want to make her, and that's fun.
You know, there's this impending religious conflict or fate coming up between the Vikings, basically between pagan gods and Christianity. I mean, that's becoming increasingly kind of a crux on the show. I noticed, at least from the 3 episodes of episode 3 I've seen. What do we think Lagertha's sort of feelings will be? She seems to be a very devout pagan, but she is being exposed now to.
It's a very
King
good
Egbert,
question.
you know?
I think it's a mix of both. I think she appreciates learning different cultures and different religions, and I think that's what her fascination with King Egbert stems from, is that he opens up a whole new world for her that she hasn't experienced before. But I know for a fact she's a pagan at heart, and she always will be. And as the season goes on, I have a scene where I had to learn a massive monologue, more of a prayer of a sacrifice scene, where I'm saying in Old Norse. And that was a very challenging thing, because it's not even, you're not just translating, you're learning a whole new way of speaking, and it's more guttural and words and sounds I've never really heard of. And I think that really sums up who she is, in that she will always be a pagan. And she believes in Freya and Odin and the many different gods that existed. But she's also accepting of other people's beliefs, and it was interesting to play, because knowing other characters, that they may change throughout the season.
Right.
As you've seen some of the posters, Ragnar is holding a cross, and that's something that is touched upon in season 3, and.
We did get a hint of that in season 2
You
as
did.
well, you know, and it is going to be interesting to see sort of how that basically, even if they switch gods, if you will, they're still going to want to go and raid, or just there's a cultural component to that too. But you mentioned all the speaking the different languages this season. You have a lot more scenes with Ethelstan than I think the most since probably season 1, right?
Yeah, it's nice.
You know,
Yeah,
so yeah,
it's
and
nice to work with George.
You guys are basically relying on each other to deal with King Egbert. How were those scenes for you?
I loved it. I love working with George. He signed on. He was the very first person cast in season 1, actually. And just sharing scenes with him, it's funny because those scenes end up being the last ones of the day, so sometimes we only get like one take just to get it. I know, believe it or not, because a lot of time goes into
with all that language and you only
all
get one
that.
take.
Sometimes, yeah, believe it or not, and we had to do that on a bumpy road, and I don't even know how it turned out, but there's a lot of it has been done in a short amount of time. But so you have to rely on your actor and what they give you, and George is just such a great person, but I also have that history with him since season 1, and there's a lot of things that are lost in translation, that there's an opportunity for comedy, which you haven't seen kind of Lagertha in a lighter light, and that's something that I actually kind of tried to put Lagertha in a different position, which was a challenge, but also interesting.
When do you guys start filming season 4?
I don't know. I know there's rumor that we might have to head back as early as the end of April, but I don't know if it's true. We haven't got picked up officially. But I have the bags on standby, and I haven't made any trips after that yet. So
awesome. Now, finally, a lot of fans, because a lot of folks might not know this, that you are a martial artist, and from what I was very surprised to find out, you're a licensed bodyguard too. So basically, you could kick anybody's ass if you really wanted to. You really are Lagertha. Now, a lot of fans, though, are, because we live now in the day and age of comic book movies, I'd love to see you play a superheroine. Is there any particular character that you would love to
Oh, wow.
play?
There's so many. I'm such a fan of comic books. I grew up reading them. They were my idols. Like these characters came to life for me. I don't think it's one in particular, other than I would love to play an action hero. But truthfully, playing Lagertha is so much fun.
Yeah.
Because I have a chance to do both. I get to kick ass, but I also get to deal with real human emotion and struggles that I would face as a woman. And it's having that balance between being a warrior and getting a chance to be feminine and vulnerable at the same time. And that's but if Marvel calls, yes, I'll pick up the phone.
Just saying, Captain Marvel. I'm gonna stump for you for Captain Marvel. Just final observation is that they really were kind of the superheroes of their time. Anyways, all the stories told about them, and they've lasted for years and years. So awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming by today to talk about Vikings Season 3 on History Channel. For all things Vikings, keep it here on IGN.